Market Square.
Market
So,
Square.
is this where you did your? How often did your family go to the Market Square?
Oh, at least once a week.
Okay.
Yeah, at least once a week. Market Square was think of it always as a square, bisected by 4 ways by sidewalks, this way and this way, from the center, making 4 separate corners
Right,
of the
okay.
square. Where the squares came together in the middle was the city hall.
Okay.
The city hall.
Right.
That was the center of the Market Square. Now, in the weekdays when the market wasn't on, all 4 of those corners became parking lots for people to park their cars.
Yeah.
On market day, these became for the vendors.
Right.
They back up to these sidewalks, and you could get all sorts of produce. But right up close to the building, some of the vendors set up card tables. And I remember one lady, she was there every week, sold eggs, and there were chickens laid out on these card tables.
Right.
Still had the heads on them and
Right.
feet and everything.
But they had been butchered, or they'd been
they'd been killed.
Right,
And,
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and defeathered and so on. But they're all laid out there. But one of the vendors I got to know in later life, his name was Tom Silverthorne. Tom Silverthorne ran a little market garden up on West Street, right where the Bethel Church is now, alongside of where the 403 goes through. And that was land that he had in, I guess this would be in the 40s or maybe even into the 50s, where Tom did his market gardening. He worked at Cockshuts and did the market garden on the side. So he worked Cockshuts one day, and when he came home, he was going to go to market the next day. It was on a Saturday. And his wife had picked all the radishes. They bunched them all up, put them in fish flats and so on. And they'd work half the night getting the stuff ready to go to market. And up to market they went. He sold everything for 15 cents a bunch, and they were gone. Okay. But Tom told me a story one time when he went to market, and one of his friends came up to him and said, "Tom, who's got the best corn on the market today?" "Why, I have." And he picked up corn, and he peeled it back, and there was a perfect ear of corn. The guy bought 2 dozen right on the spot. So that was one of my memories. But it was a potpourri of smells and odors that you just couldn't buy anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, you walked, you could smell the apples and the corn, the plums, and it was beautiful. Apples were all shined up and sitting in bushels, and the potatoes were all washed and sitting in baskets. It really looked beautiful. And celery and carrots. Carrots always look deep, nice, beautiful orange. The top's still on them, so that was bagged stuff. And but they would be spread around on the 4 corners of the square. But on the east side, where the sidewalk went out, they eventually built it over, and they put in a wooden frame building there. And in there was where the butchers went. They had, you could get fresh roasts and so on market day. And at one end of that building was there was a lady in there sold dried flowers and that sort of thing. So it was sort of a combination building. But on the north west corner, there was a little shack. Oh, little wee thing, almost like Charlie Morey's barber shop.
Right.
It's where the PUC bus drivers used to come and check in.
PUC?
Public Utilities.
Okay.
It's Brantford Transit now. I call it PUC.
Okay. Right, yeah.
The PUC ran the bus service, and they used to go in there to check in and so on. But there was about 4 or 5 seats in there on a real cold winter's day. You could get out of the elements if you could find a seat. And of course, I only smelled of chips because of the chip wagons.
Right.
But that was on one corner. On the other corner, up at George Street, there was a scale house, and I don't know what it was used for, but it was a scale house where, I don't know, run by the city for some reason or another. Then across in the other corner, at the corner of Market and Colburn, there was a rug brick building there. This is where the it's all Eaton Square now.
Mhm.
So, but on that corner was a rug brick building that when it was built as a terminal for the Grand Valley Railway that used to come in from between Galt and Paris and Brantford,
Mhm.
and it came down Brant Avenue across Colmer Street and looped around this building, and then went back out Colmer Street, up Brant Ave, back up to Galt again.
Mhm.
Anyway, that was on that corner. Then on the other corner down by the Kirby, there was a little frame, not a shack, that's more like a little kiosk. And they sold Werner's ginger ale, and they sold hot dogs and snacks and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
But on market day, on a real hot day, that was the place to go, because the Werner's came out of a large barrel
Mhm.
that they had sitting up there, and they tapped it right out of that into the glasses,
Mhm.
ice cold
Yeah,
glasses, and there you could, for 10 or 15 cents, have a glass of ice cold Werner's ginger ale and a hot dog or whatever,
Mhm.
hamburgers,
Mhm.
whatever they
Yeah,
were
yeah.
selling. So that was, always remember that corner.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
gone now. Somebody told me I think Ruth told me who owned it, but the
Yeah.
name is gone. But I
Mhm.
remember it was a green building,
Mhm. Mhm.
and Werner's ginger ale is not the same.
Right.
It's not the same as what you used to get there.
Oh no.
No,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So did you was it your mother who usually went to the market, or?
my grandmother, as
Okay.
a rule, Saturday was market day.
Mhm. Mhm.
Matter of Saturday was going downtown day.
Mhm.
We'd catch the bus down by Bartles and head downtown,
Mhm.
and it was just generally a 3 or 4 hour excursion.
Okay.
Because downtown was vibrant in those days, and you bought everything downtown.
Yeah, yeah.
So we get off the bus somewhere there down. We had always armed with brown paper shopping bags,
Mhm.
and you go to this store for this store for that. That's the time and dime store, Woolworths and Kresge's and
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
on. But you always ended up at the market square for your fresh produce.
Right, right.
Across from the market square on Market Street, Ryerson's Produce had their warehouse was up by the tracks,
Mhm.
by the station, but they had a store downtown, and you go in there. I remember they used to get fresh peanut butter. It was sold in little thin wooden boats,
Mhm.
like you get at a fast food place
Right,
now, I guess, But they put a piece of wax paper on the bottom of it, a pound of fresh ground peanut butter,
Mhm.
wrap it up, take that home.
Mhm.
That was in Ryerson's, but they also had bananas and all some fresh fruit.
Yeah,
nice bananas.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, Saturday was market day for us. We went downtown, and
Mhm.
you'd go to do your shopping. You'd be kind of half loaded down, but you'd get kind of hungry too. So where are you going to go to? Well, there were several restaurants downtown. There was the New Service Tea Room. There was the Olympia, Tops, Murray's, of course. But anyway, we used to go to the Olympia.
Mhm.
It was started out as it was a candy store and restaurant and a soda bar type of thing.
Right.
But at the back was where the restaurant was, and I always remember we used to go in there where we get ham sandwiches or toasted cheese or something like that. But I'll never forget. You learn real soon. They don't put your fingers under the table because it was always covered with chewing gum. But those days, the restaurants at noon hour were lined up. You couldn't get a seat.
Yeah.
You lined up. So you went to the restaurant that had the shortest line.
Mhm.
Because you knew that. And when you were finished eating, you were always, hurry up.
Yeah.
Somebody's waiting.
Yeah,
So you didn't dawdle.
Yes.
But that was part of our going downtown
Mhm.
on market day
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
Markets are operated on Wednesdays and Saturdays, I think.
Okay.
Just the 2 days,
Mhm. Mhm.
as I recall.
Yeah. And did it operate throughout the year, or did it
All
shut
year
down over
round.
winter?
All year round.
Okay.
Yeah, in the winter time, unless it was really, there weren't that many vendors, but
Mhm.
as I recall, the market ran most
Mhm.
of the year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So was there produce in winter?
Pardon me?
Was there produce in winter?
Golly, I can't remember.
Okay,
I
okay.
imagine there was,
Mhm.
but they somehow would have to keep the stuff from freezing,
Yeah,
eh?
yeah.
Depending on the temperatures, eh?
Mm-hmm.
But so I recall though, I'm pretty sure they worked it in the winter time.
Yeah.
I can't say for
Yeah.
positive.
Yeah. You think like butchers and so on would be.
Well, they were inside. The
Yeah,
butchers were
yeah.
inside in the building.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They were okay.
Yeah. And when did the market, shut down, or when did it?
Well, it kept going as a market as pretty much as long as the market square was there,
Mm-hmm.
as the city hall, I should say. Then they opened the market down on Greenwich Street,
Mm-hmm.
and they moved everything there. That sort of closed down the market area.
Okay.
I can't tell you what year the new market opened
Mm-hmm.
on Greenwich Street. I think it was in the either late 50s or very early 60s,
Mm-hmm.
because there was talk already of doing away with the and building a new city hall,
Mm-hmm.
doing
Mm-hmm.
the city hall
Mhm.
and closing the square down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Matter of fact, it wasn't 64 because in 1964 was when I moved into my house. We had to get a mover,
Mm-hmm.
and moving day you could hardly get a truck because that was the same day they were moving out of City Hall over to the temporary headquarters on King Street,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so the new City Hall was under construction.
Right,
underway
right.
there. So things were well underway in the early 1960s
Okay.
to move things
Okay.
out of there. So
And why
it was
did they move the market?
because of whether we're going to close down the market square.
Okay.
The City Hall was going to be demolished,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they had to move somewhere, so they opened them up on Greenwich Street, still close to downtown.
Mm-hmm.
But it was never quite, I don't think, quite the same
Right,
as the
right.
outdoor market,
Yeah.
because they all moved everything indoors. Of course, then that's all year round.
Mm-hmm.
No
Yeah.
problem at all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very different kind of feel. And so, was it mostly produce and meat and
Cheese. And
cheeses?
sort of thing,
Okay.
yeah.
Were there local dairies in Brantford
They were local.
that made cheese?
I don't know whether they made cheese here. The cheese people I know of came from Simcoe,
Okay.
Jensen's cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was great. The lady that ran, the cheese lady, she looked like a cheese. She was huge. She sat behind there and she said, yours. She grabbed the cheese, set it down, cut it off. It's always within an ounce or two of what you asked
Wow.
for.
Wow.
She just had an eye for it.
Mhm.
Cut the wheel. Cheese came in the big wheels,
Mhm.
and she just snipped them off. But that's what I remember. I have a cheese down there.
Yeah.
That was mainly I remember her as being down in the new building
Mm-hmm.
down
Okay.
on Greenwich
Okay.
Street.
Yeah. Yeah. mm-hmm.
Whether she was in, they were in. If they were on the market square, they would have been in the building where the butchers were. I
Yeah.
think in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And what about I don't know, other things you can say about the market square, or
Well, of course, the famous chip wagon.
yes, okay.
I think on every side of the square there was a chip wagon.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
2 or 3 of them. They started out with one, and then there was, but every bus that came downtown or left out from the city always came and went from the market square.
Mhm,
That was
mhm.
the center.
Right, right.
And every time the buses left Market Square, they were filled with the odor of these chips, because people would go and buy a cone of chips, go sit in the bus to wait for it to pull out.
Mm-hmm,
sort of thing.
mm-hmm.
Now, I had a job at one time when I was in high school at the Bright Spot fish and chip store.
Mm-hmm.
They were on Colburn Street, not too far from the Lorne Bridge on the south side, and it went up with the south side when
Right,
it was
right.
demolished. It was like Brigadoon. It went up on a cloud of dust, and never to be seen
Mm-hmm,
again.
mm-hmm.
But anyway, I worked there on weekends, and on Saturday at night after I finished work, I
Mhm.
catch the bus home. And when I'm getting on the bus, even working with fish and chips all day long, I still bought a cone of chips.
Wow. Wow.
Because they tasted different
Mm-hmm.
than any fish and chip store.
Yeah,
They had a taste all their own.
yeah.
And I mean, for 10 cents or 15 cents, you could get. They used to serve them in paper cones,
Uh-huh.
and later they became into boxes.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
the little paper cones were only about this big,
Mm-hmm.
but just enough.
Yeah.
A nice little snack.
Yeah.
And with salt and vinegar, and